I mean, since I've been in the league, since we left, I've been screaming that team needs to go there. So, yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. We're going to reach out to you, big guy.
I'm sure somebody just seen that.
Don't be an effing crybaby. That's the words everyone is talking about right now. What actually happened? Keep watching till the end of this video because we will let you see Kevin Durant on what Kobe Bryant told him when his Achilles tore. That's the story that got Kevin Durant's status of the poster boy, so you don't want to miss that. Let's get started. The injury. Kevin Durant tore his right Achilles tendon on June 10, 2019 in Game 5 of the NBA Finals against the Toronto Raptors. But it was actually the same game the Warriors won. Durant shared his thoughts on the Dubs' Game 5 victory after enduring the ailment. "I'm hurting deep in the soul right now, I can't lie, but seeing my brothers get this win was like taking a shot at tequila. I get new life, LOL." Durant played 12 minutes before all the hype and hope about his return came crashing down. On a crossover attempt, Durant planted his right foot, lost the ball, and immediately hopped away in pain. He held his lower right leg as he sat on the court, and the injury was diagnosed as a torn Achilles tendon. Truth must be told that a torn Achilles is regarded as one of the worst injuries a basketball player can get, and it kept Durant out for the entirety of the 2019-2020 NBA season. The superstar revealed his horrifying initial thoughts following the incident in a Netflix interview with David Letterman, and he said that he felt like he was looking in the face of his basketball death. It was like he was looking at a career-ending injury, or at least the end of his ability to perform at an elite level. The recovery. The Nets signed Durant knowing he'd just torn his Achilles. GM Sean Marks confirmed that Durant would likely miss the whole season, and Durant said that himself on a First Take appearance. It was always going to be about recovery first for Durant. Even when the NBA season was delayed and pushed to a bubble in Orlando over the summer, Durant remained out. That decision was likely helped in part because Irving had shoulder surgery in March that kept him out of action in the bubble too. The 2020-21 season would be the first time they could get on the court together for Brooklyn. "It's just best for me to wait. I don't think I'm ready to play that type of intensity right now in the next month. It gives me more time to get ready for next season and the rest of my career. My season is over. I don't plan on playing at all. We decided last summer when it first happened that I was just going to wait until the following season. I had no plans on playing at all this season," he said. KD rehabbed his injury in Los Angeles, and Durant decided not to join the Nets in the NBA's bubble after a pandemic year. And by the time he finally took the floor again, it had been 18 months since his last game. Well, that delay appears to have been worth it for both Durant and the Nets. They gave him a 4-year contract, knowing they would pay him $38 million to not play for a year and not knowing what kind of player they would get for the next 3. There was a good reason for the uncertainty. Basketball players would rather shatter their legs, rip their ACLs, or break anything in their bodies than rupture their Achilles tendon. "It used to be the kiss of death. You had an Achilles rupture, your career was done," said Robert Anderson, a surgeon who has treated Durant. The time when Kobe reached out to KD. Right after KD tore his Achilles in 2019, Kobe Bryant was one of the first people to text and show support to him, and of course, the LA Lakers legend did it in the most Kobe way possible. The Black Mamba tore his Achilles in 2013 at age 34 and famously stayed in the game to shoot a pair of free throws before limping off the court. "Don't be an effing crybaby. It's going to be all right. You're going to come back and be who you are," Durant shared on Bryant's message to him at the time per Alex Schiffer of The Athletic. Durant further revealed that Bryant kept messaging him afterward, discussing with him the potential people he can work with to help him get over his injury, as well as the physical therapies and the work he needs to do to fully recover. Sure enough, Kevin Durant was appreciative of Kobe Bryant reaching out to him, sharing that the Lakers great really helped him sort his mind back then. "When my mind was racing everywhere, it was good to hear from him, especially him going through it later in his career," Durant added. Durant said there's an unspoken bond amongst players who have torn their Achilles. It's one of those if you know type of relationships. It's why some of his responses to Moore have been more about the mental aspect than the physical. "Rehab, it's an internal battle of who you are as an individual and a basketball player, because your whole life is affected by Achilles rehab and Achilles surgery," KD said. Durant made his return to the game in December 2020 in the Nets preseason opener, and he scored 15 points in 24 minutes. "Man, it felt good. Obviously, the circumstances are different. No fans in the stands, and I know the Nets fans were looking forward to this day, but hopefully they enjoyed it on TV. It's the first step for me as a player getting back on the court, getting back into my routine, and I felt good. I felt like I knocked some rust off early, and I've just got to keep building from here, Durant said.
I think defensively we was able to be there in the second half, in front of the basketball, rebounding the basketball, was able to get out and run.
What's happening now for KD? Right after the new year, the Nets were handed some bad news on Monday when KD was diagnosed with an isolated MCL sprain of the right knee following an injury suffered in Sunday's game against the Heat. Durant was on the ground for a few moments, but remained in the game briefly, having been seen rubbing at the knee before the Nets called a timeout and took him out about 30 seconds later. Durant is expected to miss up to a month of action with the injury, derailing an MVP-caliber campaign where he was averaging 29.7 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game, leading the Nets to 18 wins in their last 20 games to shoot up to second in the Eastern Conference standings. But unfortunately, injuries are becoming somewhat of the norm for Durant. Before the season, KD specifically cited the way the team played without him in the lineup as one of the reasons he requested a trade in the summer. When I went out with a knee injury, we lost 10 in a row. And I'm like, we shouldn't be losing some of these games that we lost, regardless of who's on the floor. So I was more so worried about how we're approaching every day as a basketball team. And I felt like we could have fought through a lot of stuff that I felt that held us back, Durant said in September. Though the Nets would certainly prefer to have Durant in the lineup, his upcoming absence is an opportunity to prove the team's culture and habits are in a different place than they were a season ago. If the team is able to succeed without him, it could build even more trust between a player, coach, and franchise that have gone through some rough patches. And if Durant ends up only missing 2 weeks, then the Nets are in a position to withstand a little bit of a drop-off in play after rocketing up the standings over the last 6 weeks. An injury to a team's best player is obviously never a good thing. For the Nets specifically, an opportunity to overcome adversity in the short term could help prove this club's championship medal in the long run. Considering where this team was during the first few weeks of the season, that's a welcome challenge. Durant has previously dealt with an MCL injury in his left knee, which forced him to miss more than 1.5 months during the 2022-23 season while rehabbing. The Nets went 5-17 in Durant's absence, which also coincided with point guard Kyrie Irving only playing on a limited basis amid his refusal to get vaccinated while New York City's vaccination mandate was in place. For now, Brooklyn is optimistic that Durant could miss less time rehabilitating from his current MCL injury than last season, and we're hoping for that too. What do you think about Kevin Durant? Is he one of your favorite players? Let us know in the comments down below.